Hi, I'm Lily, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about HEBR0048 Ugaritic language. So Ugaritic is an intermediate advanced level course for students who have completed Introduction to Biblical Hebrew or Intermediate Biblical Hebrew. It fulfills the requirement to take a course in Advanced Biblical Hebrew for final year BA Ancient Languages students, and it's optional for students on other degrees. And it's ideal if you've got an interest in Semitic languages, Hebrew grammar, and historical linguistics. So Ugaritic is the language of Ugarit, which was a very cosmopolitan and multicultural city-state and scribal training center north of biblical Canaan, as you can see here. And it's really important from a linguistic point of view because it's the only Northwest Semitic language that has substantial numbers of texts from the second millennium BCE. It's the closest older relative of Biblical Hebrew and also of Aramaic, and we have a very wide and rich variety of texts from the 13th century BCE in Ugaritic to read. So Ugaritic is relevant from a linguistic point of view because it shows us what a Northwest Semitic language from the second millennium BCE looks like in a way that no other language can do because they're all very, very partially attested. It can also help us to understand difficult aspects of Biblical Hebrew grammar, things that we're not really sure how they developed in Biblical Hebrew. Ugaritic can really shed light on that. It can also help us to understand the meanings of rare Biblical Hebrew words and hapax legomena that otherwise would be quite difficult for us to decipher. And it can also help us understand how the Northwest Semitic languages developed. So when we think about Ugaritic texts, they're also really relevant because they offer us a fascinating window into Canaanite culture and religion. There is a whole body of nonfiction texts, letters, contracts, administrative documents that really kind of give us an unparalleled insight into everyday life in second millennium BCE Levantine society. There are also mythological texts that introduce us to the Canaanite gods like Baal, Mot, and Yam, who are familiar to us from the Hebrew Bible, but when you read the Ugaritic text, you get to experience these gods in their own culture from kind of internal perspective, where they're the heroes rather than the enemies as they are in the Hebrew Bible. Also, the texts are all hilarious and exciting and really fun to read. There are a lot of epic battles between gods that, kind of play out on this like superhuman level. There are poisoned serpents. There is extreme drunkenness, as you can see here in this replica of one of the Ugaritic mythological texts, which is called The Drunkenness of El, or The Drunkenness of Elu, one of the gods, and it has been reproduced here on a beer mug, very appropriately. So we'll read this during the course. The Ugaritic writing system might look impenetrable, but it's actually really easy to learn, and it's an exciting way to get to familiarize yourself with an ancient Near Eastern scribal culture that is actually a really cool fusion of Mesopotamian and Levantine traditions. So it's an abjad, which means a consonantal alphabet that has 30 letters. And as you can see here, it's cuneiform, wedge shaped. So it looks very much like Akkadian, but it operates on a completely different principle that's a lot quicker to learn. So it's similar to other Northwest Semitic alphabets like Hebrew. So if you know the Hebrew alphabet, you'll be, in a good position to learn Ugaritic. Similar order of letters, similar consonants are represented. And like I said, it's completely consonantal, except that it has 3 different aleph symbols that have 3 different vowel signs. So there's an A aleph, an E aleph, and an U aleph. And they can be really helpful for showing us different grammatical features. And the texts were written on tablets, as you can see here, which is why they've survived. So on this course, we will go through Ugaritic grammar in depth, and we'll also make comparisons with Biblical Hebrew and with other Semitic languages where relevant. So you'll really kind of get a picture of what Ugaritic is like in its linguistic context. We will read Ugaritic letters and other nonfiction texts, and we will also look at a variety of Ugaritic mythological epics. By the end of the course, you can expect to have gained a solid understanding of Ugaritic grammar. You'll be familiar with the main similarities and differences between Ugaritic and Biblical Hebrew grammar. You'll have a good knowledge of the Ugaritic textual corpus, including nonfiction and mythological texts, and you'll also be familiar with the Ugaritic cultural and religious context. So I really hope that you join me for Ugaritic. It's a lot of fun. And if you have any questions, you can contact me at my email address.